Our first guest tonight is an enormously talented singer, songwriter, designer, and probably the only artist ever to appear on both the country music and ska charts. Her brand new single is called Slow Clap. It's out now. Please say hello to Gwen Stefani. Hi, Gwen.
Hi.
How are you?
Thank you for having me again.
It's very good to see you. Wait a minute, you're not in Oklahoma in that dress, are you?
No, I got made up for you. No, I'm in LA. I'm in LA. I just got back.
You look fantastic. How is it in Oklahoma? I always imagine like Green Acres, you being out there.
It's not that green right now, but it's pretty magic, I have to say. I have had no idea myself that it was such an amazing place, but it feels like you kind of go into a portal and you're like all of a sudden in nature, and I get to be like face to face with Blake Shelton every day.
Oh my God, I can only imagine. I dream about it at night sometimes. And I look up at him and I go, there you are, and then my eyes open and he's not there anymore.
You should see those eyes under the Oklahoma stars.
Oh, one can only imagine. Blake does seem like a very, very good guy, and you are a great person too, and I'm glad you guys are together. And it does tickle me because I know, I remember back in when I was starting out here on the radio, on K-Rock in like the very early 90s, when you guys were just, with no doubt, you're just putting things together, and now you got a song, you have 2 songs on the country music charts. Who would have ever imagined that?
I would have never imagined that. Come on, it's so far out there that it's hard to even remember my other life like back then, you know.
Yeah.
But honestly, being actually opened up to the country music genre has been really cool because I kind of define myself, what I feel like makes me feel good about myself is my songwriting. That's what makes me feel like I'm actually contributing to the world. And some of the songwriting in country music is just, masterful, and it's storytelling, and it's very familiar in a lot of ways, in the sense that like the story is getting across, the heart is getting across, and the message. And so I just learned a lot, and I'm just so happy I have to be opened up to the whole genre.
Now, does Blake feel that way about ska?
Not quite.
Not quite. No,
Not quite. But I think he does. He is very curious about it, and he's a musical jukebox. So I feel like he's always constantly asking me. He'll get online and he'll list all these random ska bands that I've never heard in my life that I don't even know really existed or not. And he'll be like, "What about this is actually one that you probably know. Let's Go Bowling." And he'll like pick like these bands that are from like the '90s, and he'll ask me about them, and I'll be, I think we played with them. Like, he's actually interested.
You probably did, I would say. Actually, Blake tweeted something the other day that I wanted to ask about. Let's put that up on the screen. He's talking about your single. Well, I thought it was coming out tomorrow, but it's out now. Slow Clap. Congratulations, Gwen Stefani. I love you. Now, I'm counting 14 exclamation points there, which I believe means he screwed up, right? I mean, is that correct?
I don't know. I think that when we were away, we were in Oklahoma, and just time slipped away, and next thing we know, it was like, oh my gosh, it's tomorrow, it's coming out, and it's a big deal. And you know what? That's what's so great about these days. Like, I'm still writing an album right now, and I have tons of music that I've already done, but I'm like, I'm just going to keep writing till it feels right. And meanwhile, I'll just slip some songs out, which is just incredible. Like, we never used to do it that way. So
yeah, I want to ask you about that, because I remember when Tragic Kingdom came out, and it was one of the biggest albums of all time, but it didn't come. I mean, I think we got the single first, and then you get the whole album, but you don't get the album in little pieces. Do you like it this way, or do you like it the old way?
I think I know a lot of people that aren't even putting records out at all.
Yeah, right,
so
sure.
They're not writing music as a chapter of their lives, or this is the collection of songs that go together. And I feel like that's just the way we did it back then and what I'm doing now. And I like that it's less pressure. Like, I think there's something cool about just being able to put something out right away. Like, I could write a song and I put it right out. You know what I mean?
Do it. Let's do it right now.
Okay.
Let's bang one out.
I love it. Actually wrote most of this record on Zoom, so I feel like I could do it if you just challenged me right now.
Did you really? You wrote it on Zoom, and you get together with a couple of people and figure it out and work through
Yeah,
it?
there was one point I was one of the first songs I wrote. I was in Oklahoma, and Greg Kirsten was in Hawaii, and Mozella was in LA, and we all got on a Zoom and wrote a damn song on a phone. It was like, what did I just do? Like, I didn't think it was actually possible because you would feel like you'd need to be in the room, but you don't. You actually don't.
What was it like recording those first No Doubt albums? Where I imagine, well, you obviously weren't over Zoom. Where were you? Where did you record those?
That's funny. Well, the first demo that we ever did was actually my dad did us a favor. He had a friend at work that had a recording studio at his house. So we were at his house and we did this demo. I texted him before this to ask him what song it was. I think it was like Bouncing Shoes or some song that never came out. But that was the first time ever being in a studio. But we were really hurting for money. Like, we didn't have the money to go, even barely to go to rehearse. Like, I would go to my dad and be like, okay, can I have $5 so I can rent a microphone? And then the cord is like, 50 cents. Can I have, $5.50 so I can actually sing in the rehearsal? So
Wow.
It was like, we would save everything to be able to go in the studio. It wasn't until Interscope shelved our first album and stuck us in the studio. And we actually built our own studio in the Beacon Street house, which was my dad's house that he grew up in. And it was across the street from Disneyland. And they bought us an 8-track recorder. So that's when we first really learned how to record ourselves. And so then the process really began then, I think.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Wow.
I know, and that was a super long time ago.
You've gone from almost no technology and a rented 50-cent mic cable to recording with people in various parts of the world. Well, I do want to ask you about No Doubt when we come back. And later on, Gwen is going to sing for us. The song is called Slow Clap. Gwen Stefani is with us. We'll be right back. We are back with Gwen Stefani. Dr. Sanjay Gupta is coming up. Gwen, you posted an old shot. I assume this is a yearbook photo. Was it? They asked, what do you think you'll be doing in 10 years? You said, I'll be out of college and hopefully be singing for Kentucky Fried Chicken commercials, or even better, McDonald's commercials. That's what I'll be, the Kentucky Fried Chicken girl.
And that I wasn't joking. That was not a joke.
It wasn't.
No, I feel like back in high school, had zero idea what I would be when I grew up. And I basically, I can remember listening to the commercials and thinking, it dawned on me, oh, someone had to sing those. Someone sings those in a studio. I bet I could do that, And so I kind of fantasized about it. And then I also used to fantasize about, we used to go over to the Disneyland Hotel was across the street. We'd go over there and there was a lady that would be in a boa, feather, dress and where are you from? And then she would sing and I knew I could do that. I was like, if my parents would just let me stay up late, I could work at the hotel. I could be, where are you from? Yeah, those were my big dreams that I had when I was in high school.
Do you remember ever going into a record store and buying one of your CDs, one of your own albums or CDs?
Definitely. I definitely remember doing all this stuff, calling up K-Rock and being like, play Just a Girl, or,
Can I tell you something? I was a DJ at that time, and I remember a couple of times.
Me calling you?
You called in, yes, you called in, and the phone screeners said, yeah, Gwen Stefani called in, and we never believed it was you. We never believed it. We always thought it was somebody just screwing around.
What? I would do that, and I also remember, I can remember going to Tower Records on, I think it was Beach Boulevard. They had the big one. Do you remember that?
Oh,
one?
yes, I remember it well.
I can remember going in there, and it would feel you would feel very I don't know. It was a scene, you know what I'm saying? And I would wonder if someone would recognize me, and they would. They'd be like, yeah, that's the girl from.
I remember seeing you in 1995 or maybe right around there in Orange County. We had a big radio show, and you guys did a concert on our morning show. And I remember you performing and climbing up, at 100 feet in the air, and just thinking, wow, she is unbelievably great. And now here you are, still doing it so many years later. And I wonder, Do you talk to those guys, Tom and Tony and Adrian? And do you guys ever say, you know, maybe it would be fun to get the group back together? I know you guys did it some time back, but I think it's like the 30th anniversary of your first album coming up soon.
Yeah, it's funny because when the Tragic Kingdom had its like I think it was 25th anniversary. Thanks for trying to age me more, but it was really quite nostalgic to like watch everybody posting. I didn't know I was gonna feel like that. It was kind of weirdly. It was kind of depressing. It was kind of nostalgic. It was a very strange feeling, and I was in the middle of writing this record, so I did have weird feelings when that happened, as we all do. I think that this year has just been so reflective as well.
Right.
You just like look back on last year, this year, both. But I have no idea what the future is with the band. I never would have imagined that we would have put the 30 years into it that we did in the first place. It was a very interesting situation, because it started with me and my brother in this band together, and then slowly had different members coming, and one of them being my boyfriend for all that time, that ended up being the whole purpose for the Tragic Kingdom, is the breakup, the heartbreak. So right. There's a lot of feelings, like even in that record, like when you say the word Tragic Kingdom, like my heart still kind of like is like broken over, because those songs were,
right.
About a really sad time for me. So,
wow.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So that's a no, or is that a yes? I don't know.
I have no idea. If I could predict the future, I would tell you.
I remember there was some event, I think it was like some MTV show, and afterwards you guys were all there, and Adrian got naked completely and started climbing on things, and I'd like to see that again. Yeah. All right, Gwen, you are very kind to perform for us. The new single is called Slow Clap, and we're going to hear it a little bit later on. Gwen Stefani. Thank you, Gwen. I'll see you later. We'll be back with Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. An evil wizard has trapped me inside this YouTube video. Click subscribe to help me escape.